Here is our prep chronicles. Okay, so I made a roadmap, and the first stop was going to be the Arnold. I'm guessing that's a no-go. I understand that there are very few pro cards given out. The Arnold has always been a dream of mine. I feel like I've mentioned that a few times. And if I get my pro card, it probably won't happen. So, being less than 50 days, I did mention it to Brandon. He ignored me. You ignored me. I am going to Hawaii the week before for my cousin's wedding. So that was my hesitation going into it with another peak week like we had last time. Having a good peak week is our goal. And so the Arnold's out. Next stop, Emerald Cup Natural. It is on May 4th. I do need a qualification for the Pittsburgh Pro. So I felt like this one being local and it was a good possibility rather than traveling far. Now, if you want me to get into front of more judges that are on the panel at Pittsburgh, we can readjust what show that weekend. Unfortunately, the weekend before, my daughter has a tournament and I have been coaching, so my weekends are limited from here until May. May 10th and 11th is the Pittsburgh Pro, my first opportunity to become a pro this year. I'd like to do that show. The second option after that is to do Junior USAs in Charleston. I have my qualification for this show. I do not need to do another show prior to it. I do not have plans past Junior USAs until Ben Weider. I'm assuming if I have my qualification at Emerald Natural, then my qualification will be good for Ben Weider as well. I don't see myself competing after Ben Weider. The two shows I believe that are pro qualifiers are Masters USA. Nope. I think it's just Masters Nationals, and that's usually in like California or Las Vegas. And then the next one would just be Nationals. Okay, Coach. I think that is the summary of my roadmap. Coach, okay, so this week I'd like to discuss a few things. The first one is I am focusing on those three major topics that you mentioned several check-ins ago, and that's train hard, my nutrition, eating, and then muscle-mind connection, which I consider posing, and other things that are mind related to this sport. So those are the three major things that I am focusing on. And so if it fits in those categories, then I'm not going to stress. But if I'm also adding things, they must be in those categories. Otherwise, I add way too much. And the muscle-mind connection relates to my mobility and maybe even recovery, all of the things with that. So I thought that was pretty profound when you had said those three topics, and so that I could keep myself on track and not go on the different roads that I normally take, trying to fit in as much as I can during prep. So thank you for that. There are 2 limitations that I have been addressing, and this is also, again, getting off track. And so I wanted to push them after I get my pro card. So the first one, I called Dr. Allison and I scheduled an appointment. She lives all the way in North Seattle, which would be a flight and about an hour train ride to get to her. So I was going to do a consultation to see what we could repair from my C-section and the births that I had. I am pushing this past May because I felt like it was too much to cram in and maybe unnecessary at this point. And I can use some of the exercises that she does for pelvic floor repair. And it's not even that my pelvic floor isn't strong. It may be tight. And so I'm trying to roll it out and keep the mobility in that area. And so I can contract my lower abdominal muscles on stage. It's a muscle-mind connection, and I have triggered it to turn on it last September or so, and it's been a focus, and so I'm hoping I can keep core control intact. Otherwise, past May, I will readdress it with Allison and hopefully repair what has been lost years ago. And so that was on my mind as a limitation that it just may not be there. The other thing is my stretch marks. So those stripes, I have been looking into it. I just never had the time to fully address it. And I'm not sure how important it is at the amateur level, but I do know that it will be important at the pro level when I have all of the muscle development and then those lines are there. And so my surgeon that did my breast augmentation, he also does stretch mark repair. And I'm not sure what the procedure entails, but I will look into that further again after I win my pro card. So those are the 2 limitations that I feel like I have right now. If you feel like there's something that would help me progress or be top notch or be at that elite level, let me know. I will ask Lana too for beauty things that I can control. But otherwise, those 2 things, I don't think that they're in my control during this prep. All right. I hope that this comes off well, and I will talk to you soon. Coach. Okay. So in response to the last check-in, we talked about the cardio and we changed the steps and just the amount of cycling that I'm doing. The point of that was I wanted to see if more walks would benefit my digestion too, but by not adding more steps. And then the cardio cycling was actually fatiguing my legs a little more. And so I know we want to keep as much energy in the gym. It was just a thought. It's not a time issue. I can push harder too if you want my heart rate higher than 116 at average. I have a hard time getting it up in the morning, but I know in the afternoon I have no problem. So I can kind of adjust accordingly and push a little harder if you want me to do that. Okay, and then the suit, I sent the one that Kitty made me already back to get stoned, but we were trying to make the adjustments to the top, and I tried on 5 different suits this week. I happen to really like the Anastasia one that we bought last year, and so that might be a really great option. I will wear it in check-in, and then Kitty's working on making the top better on the new suit, and so then we can always use that as an option too, and even make a game day decision. Okay, so suit should be in the making. I will send you over the comparisons that she put together, and I totally agree the Texas one was just off, And so thank you for mentioning that. And hopefully a better product will come out of this one. So that is that. And I think that wraps up this check-in. Thank you. Okay, Coach. I believe you've gotten my check-in, and then you're going to be listening to this response. I am wearing the Anastasia suit. I finally put it back on. The reason I did not like this suit is there is a picture of me turning off stage and it being too big. It fits me this year, and I think it looks fabulous. I want to know your thoughts. I have my suit sent to Kitty to get stoned. I will bring both, and then we will decide most likely. But I do think that the Anastasia looks nice and will be a great option. Secondly, when I win my pro card at Pittsburgh Pro Natural, do I still compete at Junior USA's? I know that may be a dumb question, but do you get a pro card in natural and then a pro card? I know Lana didn't, but I don't know. Is that a thing? Let me know. Hey, Coach. Okay, so I am going to do my best to try not to do weird things. I'm excited to start prep, and I took what you said to heart last year about becoming controllable and predictable. And I think I've put myself in that situation with a lot of things. Yes, there are variables to consider. However, I do think that I could lay out my calendar and my foods, my workouts, all in a schedule so that I could be more predictable. I do have my doubts. However, I did tell you that I was going to become your first pro. So I feel like this is my best shot. I'm excited again to start prep, and we will see how this goes. Coach, okay, so this prep is getting pretty fun. Full circle. I realized that I can identify my feelings, and it's not emotional this year. It's my physical feelings. And this is the question I actually asked Steven at the seminar. When you said to come up with 19 questions, I actually have 20 that have been recorded and answered over the course of the last 6 months. Since I'm fresh in this, I would like to talk more about the potassium, sodium, and water ratio. I am in contact with Indy. You were kind of confused on why the potassium levels change. Because my foods change. When I am on leg day, I have high macros, and when I'm on the low days, my carbs are lower, and so I've chosen carbs that are high in potassium. I did mention I drink banana water and coconut water, and so on the leg days, these are in my diet. I will work on trying to baseline these numbers. I'm just worried that when we get into peak and the foods change, then my potassium levels will also decrease, therefore creating a different physique. I do notice when I have sodium and potassium in my diet and the way that my body feels. And so again, going back to those feelings, when I asked Steven how to identify my feelings, he basically shot back at me and said, this is something that you have to discover. So I feel like subconsciously I did that. And I know how to identify digestion, stress, and we're still working on the whole pooping thing. But I will try and figure out how to baseline these numbers, and that's kind of the point of this voice message. Hey, Coach. Okay, so I hear you. I will not go to failure like that. I will go until form is broken. I do remember on the leg press before I started, and why you say my legs are shaking, my left quad cramped, and I've never had that happen. So I was kind of thinking that was just part of the leanness. And so I started off the first rep, not so great, but I hear you, too heavy. I will take that into consideration when I'm lifting. The second part of this is I added my food logs, and then the photos. I have no idea how you would even track my foods the way that I log them in there. I do put them in the meal form, and maybe it is readable to you. So that's in there. And then obviously the daily counts for macros and my minerals, such as potassium, sodium, and then the fiber count is there as well. So I thought that would be all helpful. I am going to record on the spreadsheet my bowel movements, and so they are going to be on there with the time. And then I feel like my assignment this week is to keep my meal 5 consistent, and then try and record the night weight and follow the 2-pound gain during the day and loss during the night. All right, bye. Hey, Coach. Okay, so this bonus check-in, woohoo. I am working on getting my potassium and sodium ratios still the same. I'm going to go ahead and just cut those too high potassium for my baseline days of coconut water and banana water, just because when I am in peak week, I'm not going to be drinking those anyways. So doing that, sodium. On the days that I'm lifting, I am taking 1,000 milligrams of sodium in my pre-workout. Do you want me to keep my rest days sodium consistent? You mentioned you want consistency anyways, and so I had thought about this too, and I can just add salt throughout the day instead of taking it all at once with the pre-workout to keep those baselines for sodium. Okay, so with that being said, moving on to rules are rules for me. Kayla has actually diagnosed me, Dr. Kayla. Okay, so she really believes I have autism. And I've kind of already known this, that I've been on the spectrum. But it's kind of a joke for me, more so or less, because I feel like everyone has something. And however, it does kind of help maybe explain why I get a certain way when dieting down. I feel like my brain actually changes, and so these symptoms come out a little bit more so. And rules are rules, and so I will get a rule. For instance, last peak week for Universe, you had mentioned RDLs will change everything, and so I took that seriously and thought, okay, so he didn't mention how many. I'll just do as many as I can to become an expert at RDLs. Now, as silly as this is something that I do quite often with things. You may have observed this, but I just wanted to say it out loud. Hey, Coach. Okay, so this week, I don't know. It was better. I feel like I focused on the muscle-mind connection,
and mechanical failure over whatever I did the week before. As far as my posing, Lana and I met today, and I think we may have changed my feet position, and hopefully I can memorize that. And like you said, ground up, great information for me to focus on. I did not do that while I was stage practicing on Saturday. My goal for that was to see what my nerves would be like on stage. I did get like a full hour, so I'm like exhausted today. But I was able to actually help the camera people and like set up their lighting and all of that. And so it was pretty cool that I was able to do that and figure that out without having to pay anything. So with that being said, I was stopped by one of the workers, and he was like breathing issues. He did give me like a 4 count, and Lana and I are going to work on that. She plans her breaths in her routine especially, and so she said she can help me with that. I think we're on track with everything. I don't have anything else other than I am going to Vegas. Now, I realize that this may be something that would red flag in prep. I am going to train and hopefully see Ashley. Vacation for me is a little different than most. I don't plan on going off whatever we've done. I know that no foods have been kind of off limit, but I still meal prep, and I may eat out, but I will be mindful. So with all that being said, I'm leaving Thursday, and it's only a short trip to Saturday, then right back on routine. All right, bye.